give you more information on the organization. Everyone, pay attention. Mr. Torres.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Well. I'm sure you didn't have your lunch, didn't you? Yeah. You did? Yeah. Very good. Now let me tell you what my problem is. I am perceiving, as I stand in front of you, because of you, I am perceiving a very high level of energy. However, except for this little corner here, it goes like this, and I am not receiving the same level of energy when you respond to my question of how you feel today. Very good. There is a very, very high level of energy here, and let me tell you, my name is Johnny Torres. I represent an organization called Save Latin America, Inc. Save Latin America's mission is to provide better access of information to Hispanics about the many services and growth opportunity that we have in this country. One of the reasons why we are very concerned about education is because, as you probably know, 30% of Hispanics, 30% do not finish a high school. And then we ask ourselves, where are the teachers? Where are the doctors? Where are the architects and engineers? Where are the professionals of tomorrow if you don't finish your high school today? See, we could have dreams, and the program that we're presenting today is entitled Reaching Our Dreams. And then, how many of you have dreams? Me! Terrific! Terrific! Important to you, for you to understand that life is not about dreaming and sitting down to wait for things or your dreams to come true. That's not what life is all about. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something that you're going to find very hard to accept. Life really is about pain and suffering. That is what life is all about. And if you don't believe me, you ask your teachers. You ask Dr. Tirado. You ask the professionals that are going to be talking to you today. And you see that your teachers went to school, and they finished their elementary school, and then they finished high school, and then they went into college, and then they kept on studying. Some of them have their masters. And you know what? They went through all that process so they could now help you, our leaders of tomorrow, mold your lives. They are sharing with you everything they learned through all their years of learning. Now, if you think that dealing with you is easy, let me tell you it's not. It's not. The teacher is dealing with Afro-Americans, with Hispanics, with Italians, etc., etc. And then, you know what? Let me ask you a question. How many of you think that teachers do have an easy job? Let me see those hands. Okay. Now, let me tell you a reality about the teachers and the nice jobs they have. I want you to follow with me mentally. Let's assume that you are a teacher. Let's assume that you have 20 youngsters your age in your classroom. And today is Friday. And you give the exams. And then your students finish. And they go home. And they have a normal weekend. Monday, when you come in, your exams are corrected, evaluated. You corrected in Saturdays and Sundays. While you were having fun, while you were watching TV, while you were playing your favorite sports, the teachers were working in your exams. Summer, in a couple of weeks, you're going to be, 3 weeks I think, you're going to be off. And you're going to go to camp, and you're going to go to picnics, and you're going to have a lot of fun. You know what? The teachers are also going to go on vacations, except that they take a briefcase. And what do you think is in that briefcase? Worry. Her program for you. So also in the summer, the teachers are going to be working for you. Question: how many of you think that teachers do have a hard job? Mr. Gomez. Terrific. Let's give it a big hand for the teachers. Now let me tell you something. Today, about their life's experiences, their ups and downs of their experiences. That's their job. Your job is to listen and to listen carefully and to make a lot of mental notes. Let me tell you why. Because something wonderful is going to happen. You teachers are going to be asking you to write an essay based in your perception of the speaker's presentations. How many of you like to write essays? Well, you know what? Let me put it this way. We are going to, within the next couple of weeks, Dr. Tirado is going to give us the 10 best essays from this school. Now, out of those 10, our Education Commission, is going to pick up the best 3 out of this school. Comes June 19, 3 of you are going to be invited with your parents and your teacher, and we're going to present you with an award. I have a question for you. Who are the 3 winners of this school? Show me that you have determination. And dreams is not only about dreaming. You can sit down there and dream that you're going to be the best, that you're going to be chosen as one of the best essays. You know what? You cannot be chosen. You're not going to be chosen as one of the authors of the best essays. Number 1, you don't write it. Number 2, you don't put your heart in it. That's what dreams are all about. Dreams are not about thinking of the good things, the wonderful things in life that you want, but it's working towards it. You're going to hear 2 students from Puerto Rico and Cuba. And you know what? As Hispanic and as women, it has not been very easy for them to reach the levels that they have reached. They both own their own businesses. And that shows that there are always opportunity for those that dream. There's always all kinds of opportunities for those that dream and are ready to work hard and are ready to go through the pain and suffering that life offered to accomplish your dreams. How many of you ever heard of Tiger Woods? He was dreaming about being the best golfer in the United States. Oh, he dreamed of it, but he also worked very hard for it. The Williams sisters, the exact same case. How many of you have heard the name of Ricky Martin? Well, when Ricky Martin was this high, he was already practicing what he does today for a living. And I know the word. I saw last night the life history of Jennifer Lopez. Since she was very small, she was working very hard. So the reason why I'm saying this to you, ladies and gentlemen, is because there's one thing that you want to understand: to work hard, and as long as you're willing to pursue. As a matter of fact, let me tell you what I call the musketeers of success. The musketeers of success. Number one, self-confidence. Don't put yourself down because you're an Afro-American. Don't put yourself down because you're a Hispanic. Don't put yourself down at all. You are a child of God. And there is no reason for you to put yourself down. You have the same potentials as anybody else. So, self-confidence, one of the musketeers of fight in your corner. Faith. Have faith in yourself. You're not going to have success in life, you're not going to succeed in life if you believe that you are a victim of circumstances and lose faith in yourself. It's not going to happen. And then, expectation. You have to expect to accomplish whatever it is that you have to do, to accomplish in life. You have to expect it. It's not that I'd probably be a lawyer. I would like to be a teacher. No, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have confidence, and then you have to expect to be a teacher or whatever it is that you want to be in life. And then persistence. You know, you're very young, and you don't understand yet the up and downs of life. One day, life is going to be very nice. Other day, it's not going to be so nice. And you have to persist. And if you want to be a doctor, and you run into problems, persist. Stay with your dreams, and you'll be a doctor. So these four musketeers of success that I call self-confidence, faith, expectations, and perseverance. What do? They fight self-doubts, fears, insecurities, and limitations. You have none of those, because the four musketeers, if you want them in your corner, they're going to be working for you. Ladies and gentlemen, now you're going to hear from a very, very young lady. Is a young Puerto Rican professional. She used to be the aide to a senator in New York. And now she runs her own business, her own business. And let me tell you, I'm not going to take time talking to you about Migdalia. Let's receive Mrs. Narag with a big hand. She's going to talk to you about it.
Didn't come from money. Okay, I have a younger sister, divorced parents, father began with the money, and the father would drink. Okay, I own my own business now, and I drive a brand new car. I have 2 kids. One was 11 years old, and one was 8. Are my kids. At the age of 14, in a public school in the Bronx, over the loudspeaker, vice principal of the school said that a young lady was selected to take a special test called the PSAT. The PSAT is a special test, almost like the SATs when you go to high school, for private schools or college prep schools. The school was in Massachusetts. So I said, wait a second, how come I didn't hear about it? Just so you know, I always ask questions. I want to know why. Why? Why wasn't I selected? So I went to the principal and I said, well, I work hard. I want to take the test too. He said, well, you got to come up with $75 and you can take the test. At that time, at 14, I worked in a supermarket as a cashier. I got my $75, which was my whole paycheck for the week, and I paid for the test. I went to the interview. The school came down to interview me, and they interviewed the other young lady, and they selected me for a 4-year academic scholarship to Massachusetts. Okay? Now, I come from very strict parents. My mother was like, no way are you going away at 14 years old to a college prep school where I can't see what you're doing. And my father, you don't want to know what my father said. But I spoke to my grandmother. So my grandmother signed the papers so that I could go away to school. Not only was I the only Hispanic, forget about Puerto Rico. I was not only the only Hispanic in the school, I was the only Hispanic in the whole town. Okay? Didn't have a Hispanic teacher who understood where I came from. Didn't have anybody to speak to because where I lived in the Bronx, everybody was Puerto Rican or black. I didn't grow up around amongst whites or non-Hispanics per se. Everybody in my neighborhood was Spanish. The bodega owner was Spanish, the restaurant on the corner, the guy who sold the ice cream, the ices, 25 cents, got good coconut ices. So I went to a school where the first day I got there, and someone came up to me and said, we don't want no spics here. Okay? How do you think I felt? I was 14 years old. I wanted to fight. Those were fighting words. Okay, I was from the Bronx. You call me a spick, that's it. It's a throwdown. Okay? But my grandmother was behind me. And my grandmother said this. If the school was willing to give you a scholarship that was worth, the first year, $15,000 to go to school for 1 year, and they were letting me go for free, they were giving me an education that no one in my neighborhood was going to get. So my grandmother said, you know what? If he don't like it, that's too bad. You're coming here to get an education. And if he doesn't like it, that's his problem. And that is one thing that I've always led my life. If you don't like... Because my mom was working and taking care of my younger sister. My parents got divorced when I was 9 years old. My mother had never had a job. So she paid for herself to go to beauty school, and she went to school. And I, at 12 years old, was taking care of my younger sister. We didn't have a babysitter. So at 12 years old, I was going, picking up my younger sister, going home, making sure she did her homework, make sure I did my homework, and made dinner before my mom got home. See, because a lot of you have young mothers. And a lot of you think it's real cool to be sneaky and hang out, and mom's at work and cut out. Okay? You're not hurting anybody but yourself. And the worst part is you hurt your mom. You know why? Because your mom is out there working really hard to make sure she can buy you a pair of feelers. Pair of Tommy Hilfiger jeans. You guys have to wear the latest thing outside. Let me tell you something. That's You know why? Because you people, not you, everybody else thinks that because they put on a pair of Calvin Klein jeans or a Tommy Hilfiger that they, hey, there's somebody. Well, you know what? They're not paying you to wear the jeans. You're paying them so you can wear their name. That's my name. Color of your skin, the culture where you come from, whether or not you have an accent means nothing. That's an excuse. And you know what? It's a cop-out. Okay? It's a cop-out. All of you are like, oh, because I'm black, I can't get enough. You know what? I don't want to hear it. Okay? Because you know what? Many people, because a quote-unquote, I don't look Puerto Rican to many people. Okay? In my own neighborhood, when I go to the Bronx, they're like, check out that white girl. Who she thinks she is? You know what? My name is Migdalia Gonzalez Norat, and I'm Puerto Rican. I went to school for 4 years up in Massachusetts. Only came back on vacation for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and summer vacation. I'm going to tell you that rich people don't do drugs. Rich people don't drink, okay? Because everybody does it. Whether you're here in Passaic, or whether you're in the South Bronx, or whether you're up in Massachusetts. Money means nothing. You know what? It just helps you pay the bills a little better. But it doesn't make who you are. Went to college. I knew what I was going to do. I was convinced I was going to be a designer. That's what I was going to do. Problem is that you have to look into the future and what, you know, everybody aspires dream. I want to do this, I want to do that, and that's fine. You have to do that, but you have to make a plan of what you're going to do. I was sick of Massachusetts. I wanted to come back to New York. I was coming home. I wanted to be amongst my people. I wanted to go there. If I wanted to go around the quarter to get a cuchifrito, relleno de papa, or a stuffed potato, I was there. Because in Massachusetts, couldn't find it. Came back to New York, went to college. Got my degree in design. I was a fashion designer. I designed young men's clothing. Jeans with the pockets, the whole bit. I did it for many years. I got tired of it. I went back to school. Okay, because a lot of you think that you go to school for a couple of years and that'll resolve everything. It's not enough. See these teachers here? They're probably all 4 years minimum, and they're probably still going back so that they could get their other degrees. Why? If they themselves are willing to go back to school, for them to get better, indirectly, you are going to get better. Really bad art. You know, they have vocations of the same, because I could never do it. So I went back to school. I got my degree in marketing and public relations. You can see I don't have a problem speaking in front of you. And you got to do your work. It's a time and a place. You have to set aside everything. Guess what? You know those little bums you see hanging on the corner? They're going to be there whether you're 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And the people who tell you, here, you want to do a drug, you want to smoke a cigarette? You know what? They only want to bring you down. It's not about you being cool with them. It's about bringing you down. Okay? Because drugs mean squat. Okay? Zero. And the smoking, it only kills you. It doesn't kill them. The only people you're hurting is yourself. And once again, your family. So nobody wanted to go out with me because I was a Puerto Rican from New York. So I was like, you know, I was bad news. You know, they literally asked me if I walked around with a knife in my pocket. I mean, you know, that's how ignorant people are. I was director of public relations for a senator in New York. And I had the ability to work with the community. It wasn't about doing, you know, yes, it was campaigning for him and, you know, standing and representing him, going to different events, saying, you know, this is what he stands for, this is what he agrees with, this is what he doesn't agree with. But it gave me the opportunity to work with young people. I ran into a bunch of young girls who were just like, yo, who is she? Who she thinks she is? Because they saw me drive up in my car and they were like, she don't know what she's talking about. Let me tell you something. Okay, and boys too. Sex is not something you mess around with. Okay? And I know you guys are raging now. my daughter's only a couple years younger than you. Okay? And let me tell you something, girls. If a boy says, if you don't love me, you love me, you would do it, you know what? Tell him, see ya. Say one bad word out of her mouth. Okay? And then she has me. And I argue all the time. I'm always wondering why. I've had jobs where, you know, someone said, why don't you change your name? Why don't you call yourself Maggie instead of Migdalia? It's easier to say. You know, because you don't look Hispanic. You look white. So why don't you just, you know, why don't you just change your name? Don't use the Gonzalez, use Norat. Okay, well, let me tell you something. Yes, I was born here in New York, and I am an American citizen. And I am very proud to be an American, because this is the only country where anybody from any other place in the world can come here and live. And if they want to make money, they can make money. However, I am very proud of my culture, which is the Puerto Rican culture. Puerto Rico, for many of you who don't know, is older than the United States. Its culture goes way back, so over 500 years old. And some of you who are Hispanic, you know, you want so much to be into what's going on here, and you don't want to deal with your parents, you don't want to listen to the Latin music, you don't want to listen to what she has to say or what he has to say. You're wrong, because everything that your parents learned is what makes you today. All your cultures, all your styles, all your morals, what you represent in yourself, all the food that you make. What you have to learn, and the only thing that I can leave you with now, is that don't let anyone ever tell you what you can and cannot do. That's number one. Number two, if you're a jerk because you're a jerk, not because of where you come from or what color you are. Okay? And number three, you have to respect yourself, and you have to make everybody respect you. Okay? You have to make people respect you. Because there's a growing language, I plan to add on Korean, Russian, Polish, and other languages as we grow. Understand this United States and this city of Passaic and the state of New Jersey, or whether it's New York, it's not one person's state. It is made up of all of you. And if I take all away all your faces and all your eyes and your noses and your mouth, all you see is color. Okay? So it's up to you to do and to take care of yourself. And please don't get into drugs.
Thank you. Let's hear it hard for Mrs. Norat. Remember two very important things that Mrs. Norat said. Number one, don't do things because people ask you to do things such as in your body that affects your brain wrongly is not good for you. And when you respect yourself, you stay away from drugs, you stay away from alcohol, you stay away from a lot of things that we usually, at your age, you think they're very attractive and they're very, very cool. Believe me, they're not at the end. The lady that you're going to hear from next, I know this lady for many years. I believe it was in 1975, she became a co-anchor in Channel 41 News. She's been in Channel 9, in Channel 47, in Channel 41, and now she owns her own business and works in radio. Let's give a big hand to Marcia Julian.
Thank you, Jenny. Maggie, I'm sorry, Migdalia. That was very nice. I identify a lot with what Migdalia was saying because even though I am totally and completely different from her in my upbringing, I have a daughter and I went through the teenage years since my daughter hit 7th grade, 8th grade. That summer of 8th grade was total panic for me. She was getting into rap. She was wearing her pants down to here, the big hoops, the straight hair. And she said, no, I wanted to listen to the song on the radio, and I was driving on Route 17 North, and it was a rap song, and had the F word in it, and I said, ah! And I ripped it out of the radio, and I threw it out the window, and says, Mom, you should spend $18 on that tape. And I said, I can't believe you're hearing this crap. This is terrible. Now she's 22 years old. And I learned about rap. I learned what it means. I learned that it's a social outcry. I learned that it's a necessity among our youth. I don't agree totally with all the things that they're singing in them. But I learned to follow my daughter. I learned to understand her. And I learned to try to talk to her, to reach her. Because you guys are the toughest audience to reach right now. You're checking me out. I look quiet. I'm dressed very, how do you say, corporate? But I can also dress exactly the way you dress. And I have cried exactly the way you have seen your own family and mother and father cry. I don't know if you ever seen your father cry. I did. And I'll tell you when and how. And when I say that I'm totally different from Migdalia, I am. I was born in Cuba. I came to this country in 1961. My parents left because of Fidel Castro. They did not agree with his government or what he was trying to implement at the beginning of the revolution. My father, and I'm going to cast some pictures about me. This is a picture of my mother, my father, me. I have like a tough face like this. You know, I was 3 brothers and I was like the big mouth of the family. And I come from a very little hometown. I don't know, can you pass this up? Come on, and go listen to a program called Los Tres Villalobos. It was like a kids program on the radio because at that time, the TV was just beginning to hit the market. And we didn't have money because we came from a very poor background. My parents were farmers. So if we wanted to watch TV, we had to go to the house where the people who had more money had the TV, and that's where we went to see the TV, which was black and white. So I used to sit in a rocking chair with a bottle of milk, and I was one of those nerdy Cuban girls. And sit there and you know, and drink my milk. So all of a sudden my father said, you know, Fidel was coming from the mountain and he's wearing a red thing around his arm and he's a communist and we're not going to live under communist regime, so let's get the papers going and let's get out of Cuba. Luckily, they didn't put the applause darling, but wait, there's a better opportunity. So, we left the country. I came here by myself in 1961, and that's when I saw my father for the first time cry. So he was crying with my mother, and finally I went to Havana. That's the capital of Cuba, and there were the militias, and they put me in a whole room with women, and they were all naked. That's right, a little girl, all these women naked, and they were searching them to see if they were taking gold out of Cuba. You know, and I don't want to say where they were searching her, but it's obvious what I'm trying to say. Okay? But these are experiences that stay with you for the rest of your life. And even though I was a little girl drinking milk out of a bottle, I was creating a tough inner layer that I needed when I came to this country, and I'll tell you why. Because when I started school here, and I came across, I'm sorry, I mean, I jump quickly because I have short time, but when I got to Florida, and it was Miami, I was in a family, in a home, which I did not know, and luckily, my oldest brother was already living in New York, because he used to travel. Cuba so near, it's 90 miles from this country, so he used to travel previously, so because of him, we were able to get the papers to be able to get out of Cuba. So I was here in the United States, I was going to school, and my first encounter when I went to the school like Natalia had the experience, there was no Hispanics. I was like maybe two, the second one in the school that spoke Spanish. The first words that I learned how to say was "same to you." I didn't know what I was saying. Anybody would say something bad to me, I would say "same to you." Same to you. And this is not like now. Now we use, the F word. We use it a lot. I mean, little kids in the street, I hear them talking. It's really a shame. I mean, you got to go through your life, your different experiences, and you grow up, It's not that I think it's a cool thing to say that, like it's a cool thing to smoke. Like my daughter, I caught her so many times smoking. I said, why? It gives cancer, it's bad for your lungs. They don't understand. Now I know that everybody has to go through their own experiences, hit themselves against the wall, and hopefully they'll be able to pick themselves up without being hurt. Like she said about the sex is just not a question of having babies and getting pregnant. Experimenting with sex is a matter of getting diseases, of getting HIV, of getting AIDS, of getting venereal diseases, that you have to deal with it every single day of your life. Don't get me wrong, sex is wonderful and it's great. And it's even better when you are in love and you have somebody that you really, truly, truly love and you can identify. And I know it's funny because I was in your same shoes and my daughter, oh my God, sex, oh my God. But it is, listen, inform yourself. You like the internet? Yeah. Right? I mean, there's so many stuff you can learn from the internet. Just look into it and just look under AIDS, look under STD, sexual transmitted diseases, and inform yourself and then make up your own decision whether you want to experience the ugly things that can happen to you. Not that I'm trying to scare you, I'm just trying to make you aware of it. Because I think that the emphasis is about getting pregnant. I think it's a much more serious, it's about getting sick. I mean, pregnancy is bad in the sense that, you should go through the whole thing, be married, have children, be responsible, all these things that you constantly are being hammered, but we're talking about diseases. So anyway, let me tell you my first experience when I got into the school. My first experience was that I was beat up in the closet by Arlene Fitzpatrick. Go to the hill, listening to Grady Burns, I went, and she went and she hit me on the floor, and then I learned that I had to hit back. I had to fight. What is it, darling? The girl right over there. You. What? You want to say something? Yeah. Okay. So, what happened was, when I got to the 8th grade, and I went into high school, I got my crack at having a fight with Arlene Fitzpatrick, and it was awkward. Let me see, how can I put this to you? When in the Cubans, we're very politically motivated, and we focus a lot on pride and who we are, and about loving our country. That's so important because this is your country. You should be very proud that you live in the United States. You should be very proud of yourselves. Every and each one of you have the ability to do anything that you want. You can do anything that you want. It is just a conviction. It's something in your mind. It may be hard, you go home, I don't know your situation in your house, I don't know what you're seeing, I don't know what your parents are talking to you about. I don't know whether you see your father hit your mother, or whether you just look at your mother. I am a divorced parent also. I brought up my 22-year-old daughter. I haven't been able to find somebody that I really feel good and comfortable with. I never like to bring anybody into my house and introduce it to my daughter because it is so important. We have to be very, very jealous and very, say no if they come to you and with the drug situation. She tried marijuana. One day she came into the house and she goes, "Mommy, I got the munchies." I said, "What?" I said, "The munchies." I said, that is a word that is used when a person smokes marijuana. And she had like reddish eyes and things like that. Well, that was my awakening. I have followed my daughter. I have put wigs and hats on myself and gone to a club and hide behind like curtains and trees and things to see what she's doing. I have done so many things to protect her. I followed her. I met her friends. I don't like your friend. I don't like that person in particular. I don't like the way the things that he's saying. I knew, honey. That's what he's saying. I've gone through so many things. I know when she's lying to me. I know when she's telling me the truth. And all the time that she has fallen, I have been there to support her and pick her up. Because I went through it in a very different way. I went through what she has gone through. And maybe if you don't have that support, you have to keep in your mind and you have to keep feeding yourself and surrounding yourself with the positive people that you know that you can do anything that you want. It is up for you to make up your minds to say, this is what I want to do. A lot of you have, all of us have talents. All of us have talents. Like that young man over there with the red. Or who's the top guy here? Who's the top one? Like the man and all that. You can be a community leader. You can change things. You can be anything that you want. You can have the next, you can have the president of the United States sitting right here. The times are changing where a Hispanic or a black man can be a president. Why not? Each individual can make a difference and can change the world. So don't let anybody put yourself down. Don't let anybody put yourself down. I want to have one picture. Here is, who is this, Mr. Torres?
That's Ricky Martin.
This is Ricky Martin. I interviewed him. I've interviewed a lot of celebrities. Right now I have a public relations firm. I work with companies. I'm working now with a medical and dental hospital in Patterson, in Newark, where we're going to have HIV and AIDS testing, a big festival in Newark. I got Angie Ramirez, what's the Angie from Hot 97? Angie Martinez. She just said yes to us. We're going to have her in this festival in Newark. She's going to be signing autographs and telling the people and telling the young kids to be careful about sex and the importance of HIV testing. So there's a lot of positive things that you can help the community and be involved. So just be involved, think highly of yourself, and don't let anybody put you down. You are the best.
Very hard for me to speak. Well, you heard two speakers, one Cuban lady, one Puerto Rican lady, and they told you some of the experiences of their lives, and by now you should see that it's not easy to succeed in life. And if it's not easy to succeed in life, having a very good education, imagine for those who want to succeed and they lack the academic education that these two ladies have. I'm sure you do have some questions for both Migdalia and Marcia. Let me see here the question. Who's got the first question? And don't forget, keep in mind the essays. Who's got the first question? Got a question? You want to come in?
Question?
Marcia.
Marcia, listen down. What do you do?
Okay, I do public relations. That means that, let's say, for example, this hospital, my most recent one, this hospital, I'll tell you too, this hospital needs to put a program together to attract young kids like you to come and participate in the health fair. So what I do is I come up, I say, well, let's put a PSA, public service announcements, where you don't have to pay to be at the radio station. So you say, please be there June 23rd. There's an HIV/AIDS festival. There are going to be clowns. There's music. There's different organizations. Angie Martinez of Hot 97 is going to be there. Make sure that you come and participate. That's my kind of job. So I just get all the media together, I do commercials, we put it on the different radio stations, and then we promote the event so people can come. That's part of my job.
What did your mother say when your grandma signed the permission for you to go and she didn't sign it?
He asked if I in the house. I'm talking about, arguing the whole bit. And, yeah. The difference is that my grandmother was the last word in my house. Okay, my grandmother was the first woman, she was the first person of our family to come to the United States. They first went to Chicago, and my grandmother said it was too cold over there. So then they went back to Puerto Rico, and then they came back to New York. My grandmother was one of the people who came in on the first Pan Am flight from Puerto Rico here. That was the first voyage flight, and my grandmother was part of that, was one of the people sitting on that plane.
Do we have a question in this side?
Did you want to review Nicholas America?
What a question to America. I was like 6 years old. Imagine a 6-year-old, let's go on a trip, let's get on a plane, let's ride. To me, it was like a game. I really didn't know the seriousness of what was going to happen or how my life was going to change. I followed what my parents said, and I love my parents. And I remember they made a ditch in the backyard because there was a lot of fires, and the revolutionaries were taking over. So my father made this big hole in the backyard, and every time we heard a gunfire or anything that was going to happen, we used to jump into the hole there, and we had canned goods and everything. So it was an exciting time for my life. I didn't know how serious the whole thing was. It was the best thing that happened to me. That's a great question too. When did I realize that I wanted to do the job that I'm doing now? I wanted to be an art teacher, actually, and I wanted to have 10 kids. Because that's what the parents told you. Get married, have a husband, and have children. I mean, women, my parents, my 3 brothers, four men in my family, a woman was not supposed to be outgoing, and a woman was not supposed to be in the business world. So I did not have 10 children, I have 1 daughter. And I met a great photographer, and he hooked me up. He hooked me up with a commercial for TV. And I didn't know any for the modeling agency, and I got any for it, and she just, I did the high fashion models, like Naomi Campbell and all the big fashion. And I went there because you're not tall enough to be a high fashion model. But Channel 9 is looking for a reporter who has to be a minority. So when I went to see the news director, he said, "Oh my God, you don't look Spanish. You're great for the part." That was an insult. That was a total insult. He said, "You don't look Spanish, and you're a minority." And he sent me out. I said, "I had no experience. I had no background in journalism. Then I went to Rutgers and I took journalism, but I had no background." Meanwhile, this man was receiving it, and they marked it, so many resumes and so many things. So it was a matter of opportunity and not looking Hispanic. Isn't that unbelievable? Isn't that a racist comment? But I was given the opportunity. I froze in front of the cameras because I did terrible. He sent me out in a story. Automatically, he thought maybe I was going to do great. I had no background. And he said to me, "You look great on TV. I will teach you." And he gave me the opportunity of 3 days going out with a reporter. So it was a matter of having a good chance, and I made something out of it. And then I did a crossover. I went into Spanish TV to help white people.
Another question in this side.
That young man.
By the way, all the different high schools from Union City and Memorial, everybody stood outside at 3 o'clock. All the cops were out there. Big fight, big rumble because they insulted the Cuban flag. And me as a good girl, I'm supposed to be at a certain time in my house. You leave at 2:30, got 10 minutes to get to the house, or else there's trouble. There's something going on. So I said to myself, I don't want to get involved. Even though I wanted to fight, I didn't want to get involved. So I went through the park, and who comes down the park? Arlene Fitzpatrick. Well, that roll in the mud, fight, the police came, they grabbed me, they threw me into a police car, And my brother was a barber. So they ran to the barber shop, which was 2 blocks away from Memorial High School. They ran to the barber shop. Your sister's inside the police car, and they're going to take her down to 60th Street in West New York. And my brother jumped out of the barber shop, and the police window was open, and he dove into the police window, into the back of the police car. And they took me to the police station. And there I am, standing in front of these old policemen and everybody. And I said, I came to this country when I was, 6, 7 years old, and I learned to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America every single day, and I respect your flag. How can this happen to my flag and not be respected? And what happened with this girl, and then I told him the whole story, so take this girl home. And by then, all the students were outside the police station, but there were different times. Now, things are much more serious, and things have gotten too serious. Before the community got involved, and there was no pressing of charges, it was just a growing up experience. That's why it's very, very, very important that you be very careful, and don't let anybody push you into doing anything, because that means that you will be marked for the rest of your life.
One more question in this court. Did it take you to figure out what you wanted to be in life?
For Cablevision and put it in the different counties. So that you're always changing. Whatever you do, you got to do things positive for yourself and keep going back to school and keep learning what you wanted to do. It's a hard decision, but always go for education. It doesn't hurt.
For me, like I said, I started off as a fashion designer. I wanted to be, Mr. Calvin Klein. I wanted to design stuff, and then I realized that really wasn't my calling. And it wasn't my calling because I wanted to make money. I mean, I want money, and I want to be able to take care of my family and take care of my mom. But at the same time, I always felt that there was something missing. You see, in my business now, and that marketing and public relations, which is almost indirectly, directly tied into Marsha and what you've done, is that we help our community. Okay, we never forgot where we came from. Okay, so here I am speaking to you. I don't have to be here. Marsha doesn't have to be here. Mr. Torres doesn't have to be here. Y'all can all be in class. Okay, but we take the time because it's our way of giving back. I also serve. I also help kids get scholarships to go to school. I speak to other kids all over. Okay, it's our way of giving back. In my business, I'm able to make money, but at the same time, I'm helping the senior citizens in my community. I'm giving them a service and I speak their language and they understand. So I always wanted to help someone. I didn't know where I was going. That's why I never stopped. I never let anybody know. If I don't know something, I learn. Even if I have to go on the internet and I have to learn and I have to research, I learn. I don't allow anyone to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. That's what you guys have to do. All right?
Let's take the last question.
I want to tell you that each and every one of you has a special talent. You just gotta search yourself. You gotta find out, what's inside of you, what that special talent is.
One last question. Did anyone take time to wait to you? Including
Like how?
did any of you ever treat your parents the way they treated you?
You mean how strict they were?
No, like if they treated you bad, don't treat them that way.
You see, I was raised by a very strict mother. I'm talking about I had a father who I couldn't wear shorts. You know how some of you wear those little short shorts?
Yeah.
I couldn't wear those. I had to wear shorts to my knees. When I was growing up, the tube tops were in style. Let me tell you, one day I bought one, and my father came from a family where you didn't listen. I was dressing and showing my body. I was being slutty. And so if other people are looking at you and you're wearing your stomach all out and your halter top out and you're showing everything, then you know what everybody else is thinking about you? The same thing that he thought about you. Hey, look at her, she looks like a slut. So what he was indirectly teaching me was that you have to respect yourself. If you want people to treat you with respect, you have to yourself dress yourself with respect so that when you demand it from other people. And no, I'm very, very close with my mother. I didn't speak to my father for many years because I blamed him for the divorce, and he was drunk and he gambled our house, where we lost our house, and my mom and I and my sister had to move and live in an apartment. We had to live in a project for a short time. And so I had a lot of anger towards him, but, you know, as a matter of fact, I'm leaving now to go pick him up from the hospital because God has a way of doing things, and God, you know, God doesn't like ugly. And my father now is very sick. He just had his foot cut off.
And you love him dearly because he's your
He's my
father.
father.
My father never hit me. My father never hit me. He just opened his eyes wide, and I had like great respect and great fear of him, and I always wanted his acceptance. My mother was the one that hit me. She used to hit me all the time. And I'm going to tell you a little secret, talking about treating your parents bad, treating them bad, cursing at them, and even some of them, that's me, big one. Even some of them, you know, some of them even hit, I see these programs that hit their parents. I was so spoiled by my parents, especially my mother, that sometimes out of that spoiledness of being, I used to answer her really badly. I answered my mother badly. To the point that one time I said something really, really horrible, because I really wanted to do something, and she didn't want to let me do it, and I said, you know, I hope one day you die. And I did say this to my mother. Do you know that up to this day, this moment, last night I was praying, because you have to pray. You have to pray in the intimacy and in the privacy of your own home. Someplace you have to ask God to help you, because God does exist. He does exist. You may not think so. You may not have a lot of things to do, but He does exist. And I did say, I kneel when I asked God to forgive me. Please tell my mother that I don't need you to forgive me for saying this to her. Because no matter what your parents have done, they have brought you into this earth, and you will regret. Maybe not now, maybe not when you're in your 20s or your 30s, but when you hit that 40 and you're going downhill, you will regret whatever treatment you have. Because to this day, when I'm driving, I think about those words. And I just hope that God has told her that I love her and to forgive me, because I wish she was alive.
Marcia and they teach us, to teach us principles, to teach us values. Unfortunately, sometimes our parents are not very well educated. Unfortunately, sometimes our parents don't understand the changes of times. And believe it or not, everything that they do to you is because of love. You have to understand that your father or mother, whether they are together or not, but your father and mother were chose by God to serve as an instrument to give you life. And sometimes they tell us things as especially in your age that we don't like. But you know what? They're giving us the best. And sometimes, unfortunately, our parents give us very well-intentioned guidance. Unfortunately, wrongly applied. And let me give you one example of my childhood. My father, his father, came from Spain. And my father was born in Puerto Rico. So he's very Spaniard. And the Spaniards are very machos. And my father taught me that men don't cry. Leave me. And I cried. And I cried like you have no idea. And then suddenly I thought that my father told me that men don't cry. But then I began to search within myself, and I said to myself, if God is perfect, if God doesn't make mistakes, how come that He gives me the ability to cry? And if God gave me the ability to cry, it's because there are going to be moments that I'm going to feel like crying, and I'm going to do so. And then I start searching more. He wanted me to be strong, and men are supposed to be emotionally strong. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? That is a lot of nonsense. Because men and women cry just the same when it's time to do so. And I like to close by being proud of what you see in that mirror. Whether you are a Hispanic, whether you are an Afro-American, whether you are Asian, or whatever it is that you see in that mirror, be proud of it. Because you are a creature of God. However, understand also that you have to respect yourself and understand that life is about choices. And when you choose to be proud of what you see in that mirror, when you look at yourself in it, then you're making a choice. You're making the choice that is good, because you're making the choice understanding that you will never improve beyond the image that you hold of yourself. And I'm going to repeat it. You will never improve beyond the image that you hold of yourself. And if you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel yourself as a victim, again because of the color of your skin or the origin of your country, you will never improve beyond that image that you hold of yourself. But when you look at yourself in that mirror and you feel respect for whatever that you see in there and you feel proud of yourself, then you understand that life is about choices. And you have chosen to respect yourself, to be proud of yourself, because at the end, you are children of God. I'd like to thank Dr. Tirado for inviting us to bring our program, Reaching Our Dreams. I'd like to thank all the teachers that are here. Let's give them a big hand. I'd like to thank you, the audience, for this. I'd like to thank the speaker, and I'd like to say to you, choices, not circumstances, are responsible for your life result. So choose to finish your elementary school and choose to finish your high school and choose to finish college and choose the career that you like to. Be persistent. Use the 4 musketeers of success, and you will make it. God bless you all.
Family, do well. That was the message here. And also overcome obstacles. And I always tell you that you're the best, nothing less. You heard something like that today. They try to give you some of their experiences, and I could relate very much to their experiences. My parents came here in the early 1950s. I'll tell you this real quick because I related to our speakers very much. And when my father came, he was Puerto Rican, New York City, Bronx, and we went through a lot. My father made $18 a week. That's what he was paid, $18 a week. My father cleaned toilets, custodian in a factory. My mother, sewing machine. And we lived in a basement in New York City, early 1950s. No heat, no bathtub. My mother and father went out and bought a zinc tub. And my mother had to fill it with water every day for one of us to take a bath. And then the water had to be thrown out. It wasn't easy. It was not easy. I used to get 5 cents to go to school every day. Three of those pennies paid for a container of milk. 2 pennies paid for 2 cookies. There was no breakfast program. There was no lunch program. That was it. That was it. And I'm telling you these things, I don't often talk about it, but listening to them and what they went through, I can relate. And we were better off than a lot of other people that we knew, because both my parents were working. My father was $18. He was like $12 a week. So between the two of them, that's all we had to live on. And we were able to get out of New York City. But that was my father. My uncles were in the United States. 1920, they may have come on that plane with your grandmother. 1920, my uncle was one of the first Puerto Ricans on the United States mainland. And my uncle, who educated himself in New York City, 1936, had the first Puerto Rican pharmacy in the Bronx, if not in the United States. And then it's to his house where we went to live, but he could not accommodate us, so we were in the basement. And I thought about what they were saying, all those hard times. And I remember living in a community where we were the first Puerto Ricans on that block. And when I walked down that street, they would throw water on me so I wouldn't walk in front of their house. It was bad. But we were the first there. And so we paid a price for being the first there. I don't hate anyone. I don't dislike them. And you know what? 10 years later, the people that threw water on me were the ones that became my friends. They became my friends because they later on understood who we were, what we were, and later on I was sitting in their house, eating with them, socializing with them, and I still see some of them. The message there is, don't hate, because sooner or later people see who you are and they appreciate you for who you are. But if you maintain that respect and don't disrespect them, they're not going to disrespect you. And that's a theme that you've heard here today, that you hear from me a lot. Self-control, respect, cooperation. Big message here, your teachers are the ones that are guiding you to success. And some of you are not appreciating your teachers. Not only here, but in the past and in the future. You have to appreciate them. And I think I'm talking too much, but they said it the best. And I want to thank them for being here. Show them your appreciation, please. a dinner for the student, the parents, and the teachers that want to join in on it. They will sponsor a dinner to show their appreciation, give those students an award. I've been to some of the awards that they have conducted, and they really do a nice job. They appreciate the parents that are there, the students, and the teachers that have come. I went to one in Jersey City, and a lot of appreciation was shown to the professionals and everyone involved. And I would like to have some of our students recognized. So think about the message, students. Tomorrow, teachers, please take the time, assign them an essay, and then let's see who's the best. Thank you for that. Okay.